Hey everyone, welcome back to the Workin' Dirt channel. Football fields, baseball fields, soccer fields across the nation are getting ripped up, and you're seeing a ton of this used artificial grass for sale. It's become a great alternative for ground cover in many places, but what you're not seeing is the long list of pros and cons to using this stuff. So in this video, we're gonna tell you what you need to know, so stick around and let's lay some grass. I'm Joel, a general contractor in California, and we decided to buy a bunch of this artificial grass because we are in the middle of revamping our abandoned campground, which we are currently homesteading on. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, like and subscribe and you'll follow our treacherous path. Now let's get into this list of pros and cons. Okay, before I tell you guys how much we actually paid, I'm going to tell you the first pro, which is this stuff is easy to shape. All you need is a utility knife and a straight edge, like level or 2x4 or just something flat and straight so that you can use it as a cutting guide. Second is probably the biggest, is you're gonna save water, because obviously you're not watering real grass, and that's probably most people's number one concern, especially here in the west coast of the United States. We are in a drought again, and I don't think we're ever coming out. Number three is this stuff actually makes your yard art pop. And what I mean is it's like an artist hanging a picture on a wall. Because the background is a very even color, it just makes everything else stand out. And it might sound silly, but artists know what I mean. If you have a nice piece of pottery or a nice piece of furniture, it's just gonna make everything look better. Number four, this stuff is great to use as a weed block when you use it in combination with an actual fabric weed blocker. It'll help keep those super pesky weeds away, and then also it'll keep mud down and dust and any other, if you got, tan bark or rocks, small rocks, this will make a great cover to never see that stuff again. Number five, this stuff is easy to clean, because if you get it muddy, you hose it off. If you spill your wine on it, you hose that off too. And if your pets do their business on it, well, you can hose that off too. But after you hose that stuff off, you're gonna wanna use something to prevent odors coming back. And we recommend using Simple Green's eco-friendly odor eliminator. We'll put a link in the description, because there are products made specifically for artificial grass, and that's one of them. And so try it out if you end up going with artificial grass.
So number six is it's not only for your front yard, but you can get creative with it and roll a mat out in front of your RV. You can create small mats for your doorways. How about wrapping your pool with it? That's what we plan on doing. Check out that video when it comes out soon. And maybe covering up your old worn out deck with it.
Number seven, this stuff is commercial quality strength, which means it was designed to handle 300-pound athletes playing football on it. So your Great Dane, Rottweiler, or wild cat is not gonna do any damage to this stuff. And yet it's still easy enough to cut, which is surprising. But don't be afraid of it, it's very tough.
So you're telling me you're not gonna ruin it with your crazy dance moves? Oh my God.
No! Number eight. This stuff is actually pretty easy to seam. You do not need a professional. You just need to have patience and a nice straight edge. And trust me, you will get it to line up perfectly and look like a pro did it. Number nine, this stuff is actually cheaper than you think, because usually you see this for sale for about 75 cents to $1.50 a square foot. But you know how the world works. The more you buy, the cheaper you get it, especially if you're just talking to someone, off the classifieds. So I think I ended up getting this for about 50 cents a square foot. We'll find out, because we were talking so much with the guy selling it that he was in a good mood, and he said, well, I'm not gonna count what I can't see. And so there's some rolls in there that didn't get counted. So I think I got it for around 50 cents a square foot, which is a banging deal when you think about that Brady Bunch AstroTurf they sell at Home Depot for 99 cents a square foot. It's like a 1/4 inch tall. It fades, it rips, it's just not good stuff. This is gonna last a lot longer, a lot cheaper, so that's why we saved that for last. It is the best pro. You can get this stuff cheap. All right, we gave you 9 pros. Now we need to give you 9 cons. And the first one is gonna be infill. And what that stuff is a medium that acts as a weight to hold down the grass so it doesn't blow away. And this stuff you see in my hands is actually used chopped up tires. They also use stuff that's a little more organic, which is a sand and pineapple husk, which could be a safer or more environmentally friendly product if you can find that stuff. But you need to be able to shake that stuff out and dispose of it unless you're going to reuse some of it so that it weighs down your grass. But dealing with it, you're going to get a lot of it. So infill is definitely a issue to deal with.
Number 2, this stuff is heavy and awkward to move. The bigger it is, the more awkward it's going to be. And if you're getting something over 12 by 12 feet, you're going to definitely need to think about getting some equipment and manpower to help you move it.
And maybe a case of beer for some buddies.
That's an incentive, yes.
Yes. For example, this roll right here is probably 8.5 by 40 and weighs anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 pounds, depending on how much infill is in it. That is a lot of weight. Number 3, this stuff is never perfectly cut, so you never know how many factory edges you're gonna get to deal with. It's pretty good just to assume you're not gonna have any factory edges, so you always want to cut your own straight edges so that you can seam those together and then trim the other edges that line up against a fence or whatever.
Number 4, coming from football fields, baseball fields, there's gonna be some lines on it. If those are on there, they are hard to match the color and, let's say, spray it or paint it.
Mm-hmm. And you might be able to cut just those sections out and not use it, but then you're shortening your piece, I guess. But yes, we found a place that actually tried to cut as many as they could out, and that's why I went to them to buy it. Number 5, cost. Now I know we said in the pros that cost was a pro because you can usually get it cheaper. That's true, but if you don't get it cheap enough and you don't factor in your labor and time to install it, then you're actually going to be kind of upside down, as opposed to buying a cheaper roll of that AstroTurf stuff they sell at Home Depot, which you can install without breaking your back and install more quickly. Price can be an issue given that there's so much time and effort that's required to install it. Number 6.
Number 6 is it is used. So it's a little faded, it's a little worn, and maybe you might not prefer that.
Number 7.
It can get a little hot. That sun beating down on it can get hot.
Because think about it, folks. It's like shredded plastic glued to a mat. And so plastic is not the most friendliest when a sun is just beating down on it. Number 8, hard to color match, which I kind of alluded to in the other point. If you have a faded grass color, well, hopefully it's all coming, like Tara said, from the same sport field, because if it's not, then you're going to put one piece next to the other, and they also have a profile that needs to be matched. So as you can see, this is kind of curly, some are more spiky, and so you want to make sure you get rolls from the same area or same field so that everything obviously goes together and is lined up in the same direction so it all matches.
Number 9, acquisition. So you need, if you are getting a big batch of it, you need a trailer, you need a truck to tow it, you need a friend with a truck, and then you got to give him some beer.
Mm-hmm.
And finding those yards that are selling it and talking to the guy and negotiating it, that's all a part of some extra work you gotta do. With those 9 pros and those 9 cons, all in all, if you're on a budget and you're willing to do the work, this stuff is for you. And if you want to see how we put it to use in our abandoned campsites and make those look good again, and we'll put it poolside, subscribe so you can watch those videos coming up.
And thank you for your viewership because it helps our channel support veterans, trails, and charities each quarter. So thank you for that. Until next time, get some plastic. I hope you hold your breath. Spit rubber during the day.
Shit rubber too.
Oh.